This is Bio 181, Chapter 4, cell structure, basic cell structure. So key concept, all cells, that's every single cell, has 4 features that you need to know. Number 1 is that they all contain DNA. So in every single cell, there's some double-stranded DNA. Okay? So that's 1. Number 2 is that every cell has a substance in it called cytoplasm. That's basically this kind of jelly-like matrix that surrounds the other contents in the cell. And that's a cyto. Cyto means cell, and then plasm, kind of like a plasma. So that's number 2. Number 3 is ribosomes. This is one students usually forget. So ribosomes are in every single cell, and these ribosomes are used to make proteins. So they make proteins. So every single cell has proteins, right? They have these macromolecules, nucleic acids, carbohydrates, proteins, lipids. Ribosomes allow them to make the proteins. So that's 3. And then the last thing in every single cell is the plasma membrane. And this is what's on the outside of the cell. So even a plant cell that has a cell wall also has a plasma membrane. This is sometimes referred to just as the cell membrane, plasma membrane. And it's composed of a really important lipid molecule that we learned called a phospholipid. That's right, lipid. Okay, so that's the basic content in every cell. There's 3 domains of all of life, and 2 of them are prokaryotes. So basically, I've got all of life here, started out from a single ancestor, and you've got 2 huge categories that are just single-celled. None of the organisms in these categories have more than 1 cell. And the 2 categories, these 2 domains, are archaea, okay, and bacteria. Okay, so archaea and bacteria over here, single cell. And then over here in this other part where we have a lot of other multicellular life, this would be like where we have animals and other organisms, okay? But there's 2 big groups that just have single cells, right? And that's bacteria, you need to know that, and archaea. All right, these are unicellular. And they're very simple, cellular. Okay, so they're simple, at least in their structure, okay? So they have little compartmentalization, compartments. So inside, it's kind of all open. There's there's a plasma membrane and there might be some infolding, but there's no things called organelles, right? And they tend to be small. So they're small in size. Okay. And they have no nucleus, no nucleus. So these are things you should know about archaea and bacteria. They're relatively simple. They have little to no compartmentalization inside. They're very small compared to, say, any other cell that we learn about, the eukaryotic cells later, and they do not have a nucleus. That means their DNA is just hanging out in the cell, floating around without protection. Okay, so we're going to go in the future. We're going to look at eukaryotic cells. This is a table from our textbook. It's a comparison of prokaryotic, animal, and plant cells. So the prokaryotic cells, these are the ones we just talked about, the bacteria, and archaea. Okay, so bacteria and archaea, these are single cell only, single cell, okay? Over here, animals are going to be multicellular, and so are actually plants. These are more multicellular. Okay. All right. So in this case, we haven't learned any of this other stuff pretty much down here, right? All of this stuff, the only thing that's in the prokaryotes are the ribosomes present. So I want to draw your attention there. And then the DNA, okay? And the cell membrane, right? And then where are our, so we got ribosomes, DNA, and cell membrane. And then what's not on this list, because it's more of just a composite, is the cytoplasm, right? Cytoplasm. So prokaryotes have only those. And then animal and plant cells, which we're going to talk about in future videos, these are much more complex. And so they're going to have all of these other things inside of them that we'll talk about. So they're much more complex. Okay. And they tend to be much, in general, plants and animal cells are larger, right? Large. Okay. Whereas the prokaryotes over here, small. All right, that's it for this video.